Welcome back to another episode of Build Your Own Fairytale. Can you believe we are wrapping up the year? This is the last episode of 2025 already. I know, every year somehow I say it, you say it, we all say it. How did that happen? So I decided to sit down and first take a few minutes to just reflect on the show this year. There were definitely a few stats that jumped out at me, and I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I put out 25 episodes this year, plus a bonus replay over the summer. I had over 3,000 new downloads this year, pushing us across the 13,000 download total. And we are still going strong in the top 5% of all global podcasts, according to Listen Notes. So I know it's not all about the numbers. They felt like a big deal. So who says you can't start and have a successful podcast? Okay, let that be your inspiration if you are thinking of podcasting. Numbers aside, I also had my first male guest this year. Thank you to Josh. So let me know if you want to hear from more men on Build Your Own Fairytale in 2026. But most notably for me, I regularly recorded solo episodes this year. And here is where I was sharing more practical advice on systems and building your fairy tale. So we tackled a lot, from inspiration with our guests to tactical advice. And today I just wanted to revisit some of those moments that define 2025 for me in terms of the show, the conversations, the aha moments, and the systems that helped us simplify and sparkle. To kick off the celebration, let's take a look at one of the themes that was threaded through so many of the stories this year, and that is the power of simply starting. First up, we have Michelle Amen, who walked away from a solid career in the classroom to pursue art full-time. Here's what Michelle had to say about the timing of making that switch.
You have to realize that there is no perfect time to do anything. There's no perfect time to quit a job. There's no perfect time to start a new chapter. I've always told myself that time is going to pass, like whether or not I'm with it or not, time's going to keep going. So I could either keep living the life that I'm living and not be happy. Time's going to still go on. Or I can try something new and go for it and just start. So I always tell people my number one piece of advice is to just start, even if it's something small, like securing a website domain. That was the only thing that I did. And then I sat around wondering, what am I going to do next? But I did something to start.
Moving on, and to further drive home the point, Megan Lewis of Dreamland Nannies had the following to share.
Just start. Don't worry about, what the other people are going to say, because of course there's going to be those negative people that are like, not do it, of course. And just start slow. I would definitely say start slow. I started super, super slow and learning, of course, as I grow.
It's all about the baby steps. I love that so much. Time's going to pass either way, so why not take those small but intentional steps and use them to build something that feels right for you? Just do it and know that it's not about doing it all overnight. Now, once you've started, the real magic comes from giving yourself permission to pause, to reflect on what's working, what's not, and what truly feels aligned. So when freelance writer Christine Thomason shared her journey, I loved how she reframed success not as a checklist, but as a feeling.
Coming off of this, having this moment suddenly, this moment of pause where I could think, oh, wow, like, what do I actually want to do? And what do I need to do for myself, both career, but also just for my own well-being? Like, what does this actually look like now? And so, what I did in that time was I ended up reaching out to a lot of friends and other people in my network who had been freelance for a while or had recently gone freelance. And I just sort of started picking their brains a little bit and just getting their thoughts and advice and hearing, what their experience was like. The journalist in me was like, let me just get all the information that I can and let me figure out what this is actually going to look like now. And just the more people I talk to, the more I realize, like, when I hear about this feels good to me. And one of the best pieces of advice I got she was my former mentors. She said, as you're thinking about what you want to do next, she's like, don't think about what you want, your career to look like or what you want your day to look like, but think about what you want to feel like and let that be what guides you in this next step. And that, to me, that was like this lightning bolt. I was like, oh, okay, like, right, what I want to feel like. I hadn't really thought about that before. I'm just, so driven and focused and wanting to get to that next level. And I really hadn't thought, oh, what do I want to feel like every day when I wake up?
I loved this idea of focusing on the feeling more so than the job title or description. To add to that, Maddie Farrow shared her focus on stacking the wins to ensure we feel and appreciate the success as a small business owner.
The more that you can break down and celebrate daily wins and understand that every day compounds, the better. I think for myself, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be a certain size and grow so much within a certain year. But the longer I'm in this game, the more that I'm realizing like it's literally just daily victories that compound and stack up. And that no two stories are the same are like the biggest things that help keep me sane in a lot of ways and grounded and motivated. Because it's easy to like look around and, you don't want to compare. But you do look around and you're like, man, they seem to be growing so fast, And nobody's the same whatsoever. And the fact that you even just started is the biggest part of the battle.
Both Christine and Maddie remind us that progress doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it comes in that moment of quiet and intentional reflection. And speaking of intentional, the conversations that hit me hardest this year were the ones about connection, how we lead, create, and even use technology with our values at the center. First up in this little category or theme, Erica Biney spoke to the power of asking others for help.
Don't be afraid to ask for help from people who've been through it, right? We all need those people of, how did you start this? Or what website designer did you use? Or what's free out there I can use until I'm more profitable and can make money and I can pay for a little bit more of a service to help you with X, Y, and Z in my business. So you have to surround yourself with the people that have done it, and don't be afraid to ask questions because they're your best resource.
That community is everything when you're stepping into something new. Similarly, Grace, aka Gray Pack, who you may have seen on Netflix's Is It Cake, shared that while her network of referrals helped her get started, taking the time to experiment is what really helped solidify her niche and make connections, especially in the TV market. Here's what Grace had to say.
In the beginning, I really started by word of mouth. Like friends getting married, friends having birthdays. But then COVID happened shortly after. And, with COVID, there were no weddings going on. Nothing was happening in the events business. But looking back, that was a really good time for me because I took that time to really work on my portfolio, create cakes that I wanted to create, not cakes that people wanted. So it was really that time of experimenting. So, out of something terrible and scary, I kind of use that time to, bolster my business and my profile. So the cakes that I made during that time is really what got me, I think, to the next level of my business. I was able to experiment, which I love doing. And I feel like everyone should do this. Just take time to experiment. I think a lot of people get scared to experiment, but, even the worst experiences to me are experiences that you learn from, are good experiences. And that experimentation during that time really helped me, I think, get in front of people who are looking for cakes, and casting agencies for these shows were like, okay, she's doing something a little different. And that's how I started going the TV route, and then also working with planners to see, hey, this is the type of work I do. You may not have seen a lot of cakes like this, but I can provide something different and fresh and new.
And last but not least, on the topic of both experimenting and connection, the co-founder of Marco Polo, Vlada Bortnik, joined us on the show to speak to the power of technology. I was fascinated to learn that the video messaging platform we know today as Marco Polo pivoted 9 times when in development. Listen to hear how Vlada envisions the power of this technology for good.
If I can have your audience just close their eyes for a second and think of somebody you really love. And every time you see them, it just makes your heart sing. When was the last time you saw them? Like really saw them? I don't mean photos or on social media. I mean like when you saw them and really felt a connection with them. Like what would that do to your everyday if that could happen every day? Like what would that mean for you? And part of the ethos of Marco Polo is like technology can make that happen. I mean, you've used Marco Polo before, right? Like that's the experience people are having. And to me, that is magical because we're basically erasing barriers of time and distance and busyness. Because let's face it, we're all really busy. And with all the things that are happening in the world and AI exploding, we're just getting busier and busier. So I think technology can really be magical.
Through every change, their core ethos at Marco Polo stayed the same. Now that's powerful stuff. These snippets reminded me that pivoting and experimenting aren't signs of confusion. They're signs of growth. And when you lead with connection and curiosity, your business naturally evolves into something more authentic. So whether it was the courage to just start, the wisdom to pause and stack your wins, or the heart to stay connected, these conversations captured what 2025 was all about. This was also the year I finally leaned into solo episodes, which, if I'm being honest, was super intimidating at first. But these episodes quickly became some of your favorites, and mine too. These moments reminded me how powerful it can be to simplify your systems, reset your rhythm, and give yourself grace when things don't go perfectly. Here are a few takeaways from my most downloaded solo episodes. First up, you were all really curious about my tech stack, and this is something I am more than happy to share and nerd out about, which is why I'm starting with this clip from a solo episode of how and why I decided to ditch the pen and paper checklist system. So as much as I do love a good pen and paper checklist, I found that even when I had a really good one going, inevitably that pen and paper wasn't with me when I needed it to be. So I'd be in a meeting or I'd be out and about. I'd have a great idea, a great thing to add to my list, and I didn't have it. So this is why I turned to Asana, because I can access it on my desktop, on the web. I can access it when I'm on the go with my phone, because let's be real, who is on the go lately and they don't have their phone, right? When you do, it's like pure panic. So your checklist is not even on your radar if you don't have your phone with you. But I can access it in both of those places, which means I always have it on hand, and my list can be up to date and current at all times, and I can see what is still remaining on the list. So my number one tool is Asana for keeping those checklists. And it is a project management tool. It was technically designed for teams, but I use it as a solopreneur on my own. And it's been an absolute game changer. It gives me a bird's eye view of everything in my business, okay? I make a checklist for anything and everything, whether it's a business strategy, it's a client project, it is something personal, like here are all the personal things I have to do right now. Literally everything. So I have all these separate checklists and projects within Asana, but with the click of a button, I can see how they all roll up and fit together. And like, it's the world of Kristen on one page. So I think that's really cool. And again, when I'm on the go, I can get to it too. So it's truly how I keep my priorities realistic and my sanity mostly intact. Asana really is the brain outside my brain, if that makes sense. And again, I get zero kickback from sharing this, so do what you will with it. I just love it, and it lets me see my entire business at a glance and juggle all the things. Next up, it's not all about the tools. Sometimes it's about a mindset shift. I only learned about this concept last year in 2024, and I added it to my Asana calendar because the planner in me was so excited to record and execute this for myself. Here's a quick summary if you're not familiar with the concept of October theory. October theory really frames October as a second new year. It's a natural season for reflection, fresh starts, and short-term goal setting. The idea is that with, around 90 days left in the year, you can make intentional shifts before the new year starts, and then you'll be ready to go. Here's why this works. It's a shorter timeline, so it makes things a little more manageable than like the whole year, okay? Like January 1, I'm going to do this every day for 365 days. Oh my gosh, no. Let's talk about 90 days. That feels more manageable to me, okay? Number 2, we've got the seasonal change. I know I even wrote an email about this when my kids went back to school. Like, it's just a new vibe. Like, okay, we got a new schedule, a new routine. We got new school supplies. Like, for me, that is a whole thing, and I love it, and I'm energized by it. Like, let's take advantage of that. And the third reason why this works is it removes some of the pressure of those January 1st resolutions, because love them or hate them, they can feel heavy, okay? Like, it's a lot of pressure to make sure, again, I do it for the whole year. So with all that rationale, I thought it was worth a shot. I love this idea so much. We don't have to wait for January to reset or dream big. Every season can be a fresh start if you approach it with intention. That mindset shift helped me make the end of the year feel more inspiring and less overwhelming. Though, I must add, even with all the planning and structure in the world, things still don't always go to plan. We are human after all, which is where my next solo share comes in. I did a little reflection and debrief on my first ever virtual collaboration. And here's what I had to say when it came to some of the materials not being shared on time as originally expected. People do plan around them if you share at times, not everyone. So I find it nice to acknowledge, hey, we're running a little bit behind, or sorry for the delay, just something to say, look, we know this didn't come when we promised. So that was a takeaway I had. But again, I want to normalize the best laid plans, right? Things won't ever go 100% according to your plan. And it happens even in a well-organized launch. So don't beat yourself up over it, but maybe you want to acknowledge that the timelines have changed. That episode was such a good gut check because it's not about flawless execution. It's about communication, clarity, and keeping your cool when things shift. As solopreneurs, we wear every hat, so a little grace goes a long way. Again, I want to emphasize that these solo episodes stretched me, and honestly, it reminded me we just need to trust what we know. I share this to remind you as much as it is to remind me. You only need to know 10% more than someone to share something that could be super valuable. And I love these types of topics, and I'm excited to continue evolving and sharing in a valuable manner for 2026. So to wrap things up, I just want to thank you. If you've tuned in, shared an episode with a friend, or even sent me a DM this year, thank you. You are the reason this show keeps growing. I'd love to hear more of what you want to hear in 2026, whether that's a topic, a guest, or hey, Kristen, show us the behind the scenes of this, right? There is a link in the show notes for you to text me, or honestly, hop over to Instagram, send me a DM. I will personally respond to each and every one, assuming that I see it. It doesn't get hidden from me, so make sure you try me there. But I want to make this valuable for you, and I'm so grateful to play just the smallest part in you building your fairy tale. And that's all I have for today. We'll be back in another 2 weeks with a brand new episode, so don't forget to hit subscribe or follow from wherever you're listening so you don't miss out. And if you know someone who may benefit from this episode, please go ahead and share it with them. Last but not least, thank you for being here. I'm not giving up on my dreams, and I hope you won't either. I'm Kristen Latini, and this is Build Your Own Fairytale.